So, good evening, friends. Meeting again with the 6th edition of Organon of Medicine, and still we are on the first aphorism. Since last many days, we are discussing the first aphorism, and since last 3-4 days, we are discussing about 3 words as it is termed, meaning the 7 cardinal principles of homeopathy, along with the Hering's law of direction of cure. While discussing the cardinal principles of homeopathy, we have finished the first 3 First, we have discussed the law of similars in 2 ways. The first law, a drug capable of producing in a healthy individual a disease state exactly similar to that happens in a diseased individual, acts as a curative agent if the disease is in curable state. That is the first law we have discussed. The dynamic aspect of it, which is defined in 26th aphorism, a weaker dynamic affection is permanently extinguished in the living organism by a stronger one, if latter is very similar to former in its manifestation. That also we have discussed in length. If we understand the law of similars, then we can understand the law of simplex. If we understand this concept of law of similar, then the law of simplex we have to understand, and we have understood the law of simplex. Giving a single simple medicine to a person at a time is called as a law of simplex, and we have highlighted what Hahnemann have said in the aphorisms regarding this law. Giving a single simple medicine to a patient at a time. That words are very important, at a time, and that we have discussed again in length. The third law which we have discussed is nothing but the law of minimum dose. In yesterday's session, we have discussed exactly what is the law of minimum dose. So the dose should be so minimum so as to arouse the vitality in a diseased individual. It's called as a law of minimum dose. That also we have discussed in length in yesterday's lecture. Today we have to discuss very important topic, the fourth law, which is called to be a doctrine, and that doctrine is a doctrine of vital force. The concept of homeopathy and whole homeopathy revolves around this specific concept of a vital force. And if you will go through the Hahnemannian Organon, in the 9th aphorism, Dr. Samuel Hahnemann defines this. In fact, if you will tell this definition, everything is included in the definition by Hahnemann. So what he defines and how we understand this definition makes the difference. Then we understand exactly what Hahnemann wants to tell. So what he has said in the 9th aphorism, in the healthy condition of man, the spiritual vital force, the dynamis that animates the material body, rules with unbounded sway and retains all the parts of the organism in an admirable, harmonious, vital operation as regards both sensations and function, so that our indwelling, reason-gifted mind can freely employ this living healthy instrument for the higher purposes of our existence. This is single definition. But every aspect about the vital force, he has tried to define in one definition. So when he says, in the healthy condition of man, you have to understand what he wants to explain by the healthy condition. So health already we have defined when we have learned the first aphorism to start with what is health, that also we have discussed. When the trinity of life, that is mind, soul and body, runs in a perfect harmony with the help of vital force, to which we label by the name of health. And when patient is healthy, there is always a harmony. In that state, if a person is healthy, in that state, in the healthy condition of man, the spiritual vital force, the words which are used are very specific. He says it is spiritual. What do you understand by spiritual? Spiritual word means it is an entity which is invisible to a naked eye, but which is present. The things which you cannot find it out with the naked eye, but which you have to understand on the basis of cause and effects, it is called as a dynamic or spiritual entity. So vital force, we have to understand on the basis of cause and effects. You cannot show this is vital force. The entity is spiritual, invisible to your naked eye, but you can find it out, the expression of the vital force. And what is that expression? The expression of vital force is yourself only. The life is the expression of the vital force, because of which the way I'm expressing in front of you and you are listening to me, this is life. This is vital force. Because of that vital principle, the vital energy which is generated, and that energy develops the force which tries to maintain the balance between these three things. And this expression of this vital force is in the expression of a life. So whatever is coming out of my mind while explaining this aphorism specifically or this doctrine to you, at the same time, what I am discussing is nothing but the part and parcel of my vital force, vital energy. This is what is expressing, but you can see only the expressions. You cannot see my vital force. But you understood that, yes, I am having vital force because I am talking to you. I am living being. I have an animation. And that particular part, is the thing which is spiritual. So in the healthy condition of man, the spiritual vital force, the dynamis, the word is used, the dynamis. Yes, it is dynamis. Dynamis is the thing which generates the energy, which generates the force, but which is not visible to your naked eye. That is what is the dynamis. Vital force is like that. It is a dynamis. It is like a dynamo. Previously, there used to be a bicycles, and to bicycles there was a light was there on the front side, and there was a dynamo which was attached to the back near the carriage, or it is attached to the what you can say tire. It is attached to the, and when it moves, it automatically generates the light energy over there through that dynamo, and the front light gets on. This was the source of energy. This was the source of the force which used to come. So this is very important thing. This is something which you cannot explain with the help of anything, but things which you can explain on the basis of cause and effect. That is what is the dynamics. Varin has asked how to explain vital force in technical terms if we have to explain it to an allopath or IT engineers in more scientific language. Basically, the dynamic things you have to explain on the basis of cause and effects. How the scientist comes to the conclusion that the during the moon phases, there is always an ebb happens to the sea. So how it happens? Then they, on the basis of observation, on the observing the things over there again and again, they came to the conclusion that it is because of the gravitational force of the moon, this thing happens. And this conclusion is drawn on two things, the cause and effect, and on the basis of that, they explain this happens. Magnet, and when the magnet attracts the iron piece, you have to, in between medium, you have to label there is a magnetic energy or magnetic field is produced. And you explain that magnetic field on the basis of cause and effect only, nothing more than that. So this is what is the explanation. Those things which are invisible to your eyes can be explained on the basis of cause and effects. That this is simple answer. So in the healthy condition of man, the spiritual vital force, the dynamis that animates the material body. What he says, that animates, that gives the life to whom? To the material body. When you think of the birth of the anyone, it is considered that life is transmitted from the life. It is partial truth. It is half truth. Life is not transmitted from previous life. Previous lives unite together to form an egg. They develop that egg. But unless and until a life enters inside that, it never gets further development. It remains, or it is labeled as a blighted ohum if life never enters. If the cardiac activity is not there, it is labeled as it is a blighted ohum. So life never came from the union of the sperm and ovum only, but life should enter at that specific place at that specific time. So this is vital energy, vital principle that should enter over there in order to further development. Then animation happens, then the further development, then the further dividation of the cells. All those things, all those process never generates unless and until the life principle enters inside it. And that's why he says over there, which animates the material body, rules with unbounded sway. Rules, what do you mean by rules? Rules म्हणजे राज्य गाजवतो. It reigns on the body. Unbounded sway. What is the sway? Sway from top to bottom, from one side to other side. On the whole human being, the control is there, which doesn't have any binding. There is no binding. Whatever vital principle feels, yes, accordingly body has to accept, body has to work. So who is there inside this body? Who is working? Who is controlling? Is this vital principle which generates the force. So rules with unbounded sway and retains all the parts of the organism. What he says? Retain all the parts of the organism in a admirable, harmonious, vital operation. Admirable in Marathi it means prashansaniya. Admirable, harmonious. There is always a harmony between all systems. The moment you take the breath inside your nose, it enters into the respiratory system, inside the lungs. From the lungs, it is carried directly into the blood. Immediately, it has been provided through the circulation to each and every cell. At the same time, the opposite thing is happening. The carbon dioxide is collected in the similar way. It is thrown away. Non-stop, this process is going on. The harmony is going on between different systems. There is harmony between the respiratory system, with circulatory system, with the brain, with the kidneys. This harmony is maintained. And this, how can it be so perfectly maintained? Who is controlling? Without control, it cannot control. So there should be some governor, so someone who controls all those things. Is nothing but this vital force or energy. And this is what he is saying. So what he says, in an admirable, harmonious, vital operation. These are all vital operations. Every system, respiratory system, the brain, the kidneys, the heart, everything is very important, very vital. This is very important to understand. And this harmony between these vital systems, vital organs, is maintained by the vital force. So what he says, in an admirable, harmonious, vital operation as regards both sensations and functions. Sensations and functions, these are the two words which are very specific to the individual. Very, very specific to every individual. Sensation carries lot to the human being. Without sensation, think about the possibilities. If sensation would not have been there, what would have happened? The sensations नसले असते तर काय झालं असतं? If sensations were absent, what would have been happened? Anyone? Why sensations are so important? Why Hahnemann says, as regards both sensations and function, what would have happened? Anyone?
There would be no life, sir.
Yes, very important. If sensations would not have been there, no human race on this earth. Because of the sensations, the race is there. That much important the sensations are there. And who maintains this sensation? Vital force maintains this sensation. This is too important. Vital force maintains these sensations, and that's why sensations are individualistic too. Everyone comes to you with a different variety of sensation, and you don't have a sense till it gets diseased. You understand you have head when there is a headache. You know there is a heart when there is a palpitation. You know that there is any specific part inside your body unless and until it aches, it pains, and pain comes out with the help of sensations, and those sensations are individualistic. So someone says and comes to you, doctor, I'm having very severe heaviness inside my head. Another patient comes, he says there are neuralgic pains in my head. The third person comes who tells you that there is throbbing, pulsating pains are there. Sensations are individualistic. They vary from one individual to another individual. And second important thing about it is that those sensations defines that human being. And that's why the sensations plays very important role. They are subjective. They are not objective. And subjective always individualizes one person from the another person. So he says it is these sensations are maintained because of this vital force. That every vital force, every vital principle carries their own sensation. And not only sensation, the functions of each and every organ. Every organ's functions and are maintained by this vital force. So you can find it out that head is functioning, the nose is functioning, eyes are functioning, the tongue is functioning, GI tract is functioning, the respiratory tract is functioning, cardiovascular system is functioning, brain is functioning. Who maintains? Every organ carries their own functions. It is only and only because of the vital force. So he defines very clearly as regards both sensations and functions, so that, then what he says, so that our indwelling, what is indwelling? Indwelling means the indwelling reason gifted mind, two words which he has used. Indwelling म्हणजे आत राहत असलेले, which is there inside your body. Indwelling, reason gifted. A gift is given to the human mind by the God. What is that gift? Reason gifted. What do you mean by reason gifted? Anyone? Human is gifted with this process of reasoning to thinking. विचार करण्याची शक्ती जी माणसाला व्हाल केली, that is very important gift given by God to the human being. So what he says? So that our indwelling reason gifted mind can freely employ. Employ means to keep him on the duty for the work. कोणाला कामावर ठेवलं त्यांनी? So that our indwelling reason gifted mind can freely employ this living healthy instrument. ही body जी आहे त्याला नाव काय दिलं? What name is given? Living healthy instrument. Reason gifted अर्थ, it is gift is given by the God to think. Reason gifted, that is reasoning. Logic is science of reasoning. Reasoning म्हणजे विचार करण्याची शक्ती. That has been given, gifted to the human being only, not to any other animals. It has given only because of which human has developed. There is evolution happens in human life, not with rest of the animals. They are as it is. There is no evolution which happened. Human changed, and human has changed from, he was also like other animals, but gradually he has changed because the evolution happened because of his reasoning. And then his two front legs are changed to the hands, and he remained standing on his last two feet. That is a big evolution, and it was because he has utilized his front legs in the form of precise work, and it has changed the human being. This is what is the reason gifted. He thinks before doing anything, There is no instinct which works. Along with the instinct, he thinks whether to do or whether not to do. You think before coming for the lecture, whether to attend or whether not to attend. Reason gifted. You think prior, before doing any activity. That is what is the reason giftedness. And that's why he says, so that our indwelling reason gifted mind can freely employ this living healthy instrument. कोणाला नोकरीला ठेवलं नाही, हेल्दी इन्स्ट्रुमेंट या बॉडीला. कशासाठी? The last three words are very important. For the higher purpose of our existence. Everyone born with some purpose in their existence. Everyone wants to come out with their own thoughts. They want to do something. That's why they are there on this earth. Every vital principle has some reasoning, some thought of their life, some purpose of their life. And who is having this higher purpose is your vital principle, basically. And that's why Hahnemann defined a vital force in this single simple definition. When definition is asked to you in the exams, please be clear. In the 6th edition of Organ of Medicine, in the Aphorism number 9, Dr. Samuel Hahnemann defines the vital force as, and then you define this whole definition. In the healthy condition of man, the spiritual vital force, the dynamics that animates the material body, rules with unbounded sway and retains all parts of the organism in an admirable, harmonious, vital operation as regards both sensations and functions, so that our indwelling reason gifted mind can freely employ this living healthy instrument for higher purposes of our existence. If you define this, no one will ask any further question on vital force. But generally what happens, the students answer, vital force is dynamic, vital force is never seen with eyes. If you talk like this, then there are many questions which arises. So if I might be an examiner, this is the definition I expect from all of you. And this definition always defines the every concept about the vital force. And next further 2-3 aphorisms which are there, 10, 11, 12, those defines the role of vital force in different types. So vital force in state of health, then vital force in the state of disease, vital force in the state of cure or recovery. All those things have been mentioned over there by the Hahnemann in further aphorism. But this vital force is very much needed to understand. And why it is needed? It is needed only for the purpose that when you understand the concept of vital principle, or when you understand the concept of this vital force, then you will understand if this vital force is the basic unit of the life, which maintains the life, which maintains the trinity between the mind, body, and soul, then you have to understand that if this vital force gets diseased, then and then only you carry the disorder. Without that, it never happens. This vital force should get diseased first. Then the reflection of disease happens. Without that, it never happens. And this is the reason why Hahnemann explained and given lot of importance to the concept of vital force. Vital force being a dynamic entity, if it tries its level best to maintain the balance. Even the person suffers from the chronic disease, first it tries to maintain the balance. At the commencement, it resists to that. All inimical forces, it resists. But when it itself never have capacity to come out, then and then person becomes diseased. But basic function is always the preservation of the health. And that has been defined by Hahnemann in the definition of chronic disease, in the aphorism number 72, where he explains that whose office is to preserve the health. He used this sentence. If you read the chronic disease definition of chronic disease in 72 aphorism, he explains this is the thing which maintains your life, preserves your life. And if it itself gets diseased, it fights at the commencement, but it itself helplessly suffer more and more until at a length the organism is destroyed, is called as chronic disease. So chronic disease develops because the vital force gets diseased because of many inimical entities, dynamic inimical entities. And this is what you have to understand. There are n number of forces acts on your body. There are n number of forces acting on your vital force and vital principle, because you are one part and parcel of this universe. Whatever happens in this universe affects you. Whatever happens in this world affects you. Whatever happens in this nation affects you. Whatever happens in this state affects you. Whatever happens in your district, it affects you. Whatever happens in the town affects you. Whatever happens at your workplace affects you. Whatever happens at your domestic level affects you, because all those forces are continuously acting on you. You are emotional. You have your own will. You have your own understanding. You have your own intellect. You have your own memory. And along with that, you are reason gifted. And his whole constitutes your vital principle and ego. That carries an identity. And that identity, that I, is very important. Till it adapts the situation, you are healthy. When it never adapts the situation, it itself gets suffered, and once it gets suffered, immediately you start getting disorder. So this disorganization takes place inside you when this vital force gets diseased. Then when it gets diseased completely, the trinity between mind, body, and soul gets immediately disturbed. And once it gets disturbed, it expresses in the form of signs and symptoms, to which we label by the name of disorder or disease. So if you understand this concept very clearly about the state of regarding the vital force in the state of health, in the state of disease, as well as in state of recovery, then you will understand the holistic approach of the homeopathy. So if you are treating any case, when any patient comes to you, for example, today I had a patient of ankylosing spondylitis. So I took his history. Nearly about, he was suffering from last 10-15 years, and he suffered a lot. It has started way back, and there were many things happened in his life. Everything I took into consideration. His both knees were replaced already by surgery because they were totally immobile, and he was like a bamboo spine, like this, straight. This case I have started treating since last 3 months. Everything is taken into consideration. I understood why his vital force got diseased. What is that which is reflecting a disorder in the vital force, and which was reflected in the form of such a grave disorder, autoimmune disorder. Once you understand, then your remedy comes. He was so stiff regarding his life, regarding his concepts, regarding his thoughts, so rigid that he was not able to change, so psychotic, so fixed. So everything we have to take into consideration which is related to that individual, ultimately related to his principle, vital principle. And that you have to treat. You don't have to treat the ankylosing spondylitis. Name is not important. You don't have to treat the rheumatoid arthritis. You don't have to treat a dengue. You don't have to treat the typhoid. You have to treat that vital energy, vital force which is diseased. And once you understand this concept, then you will understand how to find it out, these vital expressions of vital force, then how to find it out, that vital principle which carries their own characters, and then it becomes too simple. So this is what is the understanding regarding the vital force. So if you understand the doctrine of vital force, then automatically you can find it out a right remedy. If you know that vital force is deranged at the dynamic plane, if that derangement is at the dynamic plane, the material medicine will not going to cure that patient. At that time, what is required is the dynamic medicine. It should work at the same plane. And second important thing, it should be a simillimum. Whatever the symptoms of the original disease are there, the same symptoms should be there in your medicine, which has the capacity to alter human state of health at the same level. Then that medicine works. Then the law of similars or dynamic law of similars works. And then there is a cure. So when you give a right medicine in the right potency, in the dynamic form to this suffering patient, then you can achieve the cure. And so we have discussed the all aspects of the vital force, the single definition, but all aspects of the vital force are hidden in that single definition, along with the state of vital force in the health, in the disease, in the recovery. And if you are able to know this, then you will definitely know what should be treated. You have to treat, or you have to take into consideration the totality of the symptom with which you have to approach and treat that individual, not his disease. So names are not important that you are treating this specific entity, but what is needed for you is to treat the individual which is expressing through signs of symptoms, through the miasms, through the constitution, through the susceptibility, and then you have to judge and find it out simillimum of that patient. So this is what is called as the doctrine of vital force. If you understand this doctrine of vital force, then you can understand rest of the principles very clearly. So till today we have finished fourth. We have started with the law of similars, second one law of simplex, third one law of minimum dose. Fourth, today we have discussed the doctrine of vital force, and tomorrow we're going to discuss the doctrine of drug proving. So be there at sharp at 6 o'clock. This timing is very good for all of us, so that we can go ahead with this, and it makes the difference. Tell your friends that to join at the same time, so that it will be quite convenient for everyone later on. And those who are not able to, they can get the video recording, but it takes long time to upload all those things. But till maximum, it's always better to be alive over there, so that there is a communication. So thank you being there. Many people who have joined, Dr. Madhu, Dr. Karuna, Dr. Raji, Dr. Parsuna, all are there. So thanks Maithili, Rutuja, Rajakta, Preeti. Yes, everyone is there. Parin, Nisha, thank you being there. We'll meet tomorrow at the same time with another doctrine. And then after learning all those doctrines, then we have to learn. When we'll reach to the doctrine of chronic diseases, we have to take into consideration the whole aspect towards the miasm. And that doctrine of doctrine of chronic diseases is a big lecture. At least it will take a week to understand all those miasms over there. So we have to remain with the first aphorism for longer time of duration, so that you can get lot of things. Thank you very much, and we'll meet tomorrow. Thanks a lot.